Hi, and welcome to another edition of Dream Talks. I am super excited to share a very special friend of mine with you all today, Kristina McCarty. Hey, Kristina, how are you?
Hey, I'm so good. How are you, John?
Good, good. Thank you for being on Dream Talks. Um, Kristina is the founder of Unlocked, a dear friend of mine and a trusted voice in my life. And she's also the co-host of a new series that we're going to do called Love and Dreams that we're very, very excited about. So that's going to be coming out soon. We're going to have the official launch of that on Valentine's Day. You'll be able to come on in place of our normal live dreams time slot. You'll be able to come on with love dreams and talk about dreams that you've had about maybe you feel like God is trying to tell you who your spouse is, or maybe you've had a dream about an ex or your husband cheating on you, or you can be married, you can be single. It's not just for single people. It's for anybody that has relationship based type of dreams, particularly of the romantic kind. But it can be anything, because what Kristina does, and I'm going to ask her, and we'll get into it a little bit more to kind of describe in detail what she does. But she does emotional transformation. She does heart healing. And so her and I have worked together with her dreams, with my dreams. And it's interesting when we unpack a dream, God will show her very distinctly something that he's putting his finger on. So it's fun when we work together, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, it's a blast. I've had so much fun partnering with you in that realm.
Yes. Well, how would you describe Unlocked?
Unlocked. Oh, Unlocked is my baby among my other three cubs that I have. Unlocked is focused specifically for women. It's designed for women who want to connect to their original design, want to connect deeper to themselves, to the people around them, but more specifically to God, to really deepen that relationship and really become masters of their heart in the sense of being able to master their emotions and connect to the deepest, truest parts of them to be the godly, powerful woman that they were designed to be.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, that's just there's so much that you said there. That's absolutely incredible. And this, by the way, is um, this is her branding right here. And by the way, you can reach her at Instagram at the period heart unlocked and at www.heartunlocked.com. And we'll show that again before the end. So if you don't catch it right now, that's okay. But how did you get into doing what you're doing? Because I know you, so I know that you're also just this incredible woman in the corporate world too. So how did you get
Mhm.
into, like, this is like this side project? It's really, I feel like it's your passion project. So how did it become so?
It is. It is something that I'm incredibly passionate about. And it really came out of my own personal journey and my walk. And it started many, many years ago where I had a lot of breakthrough in my life. I felt like I was very mature in my walk with God. I experienced Him in many different ways. And while that was all true, simultaneously, I realized that there were parts of my heart that still were not connecting to Him. And I wasn't showing up in life in the ways that I wanted to the depth that I saw other people. And so I had seen, gosh, probably over 15 different therapists. I had done SOZOs, I had done deliverances, you name it. I was probably in that seat. And I did get breakthrough. But ultimately, when I discovered what it looked like to connect to my heart and walk around that realm and get really real and honest with myself, is when my life completely changed. It's where healing really happened. I felt like real, deep, authentic connection with Jesus happened in my life, connection with the people that I loved. And I began to show up as the feminine, powerful woman that I knew that I could be. I just didn't know how to get there. And so, from that place, when you begin to have breakthrough and step into that level of authority, it's very natural to want to give that away. So, I found myself having conversations with other women or sharing what was happening in my life. And that ultimately turned into a small little business where I began coaching people, men and women, because it's not gender based. we all have a heart and we all have to know how to engage in that realm. It's where Christ has chosen to dwell with us. It's where he communes with us, but it's the place that I felt the most disconnected from. And I realized that, there were other people in my life who had led me to that place and how to guide me and teach me. And so I wanted to give that away. So naturally I was doing that. It's just a small business, one to one. And over the years, I've just seen it grow. And God began just to plant seeds in my heart of what it would look like to reach more women. I was given a prophetic word that I would help with him transform the lives of 1 million plus women. And just that number alone, I think feels big. It feels like a God dream, but he began to give me kind of the blueprint of what it would look like to go beyond the one-to-one coaching and how I could give something away that could reach more women. And ultimately, I think my biggest passion in life is to see families restored, to see women walking in their true femininity and in their power, but not in the absence of men. And so I want to see women choose great partners and be incredible wives. I want them to be content in their singleness. I want families to be powerful. I want us to lead well in motherhood. And so I just want to see a movement of brave, powerful, feminine women who are just laid down lovers of Jesus. And I know that this all begins when we learn how to connect to our heart and navigate that realm. And so my heart in all of it really is just to give it away. And that came out of my own journey.
Wow. That is incredible. If everybody got that, it would change the world. It would restore marriages, families, it would shift culture. I think a lot of what ails society and even what we're seeing in America today would be adjusted and forever changed for the positive if this was accepted in mass. I mean, just even reaching 1 million women. I mean, that is incredible. What a goal.
Yeah, it's not my goal, it's God's goal. And I know that, he can exceed that. And it's really not about numbers to me because, I just found like it's so overwhelming when you see one life change. And I'm not talking small transformation, I'm talking life changing. It literally changes the trajectory of their life when they connect and commune with Jesus in a real way. I've seen so many people in and out of ministry, just in their normal lives, the day to day, the school moms, the single, college women who know so much truth in their mind, but they are not embodying that in their heart. We are not walking in all that we are called to be. And when you see a woman step into that and you see it shift her entire life, you can't help but come alive in that and get so excited. It's like, when Heidi says stop for the one, like I would do it for the one because someone did that for me. I mean, this work it's transformed my life. I've become a different mom. I'm a different woman. I have different eyes now for the man that I'm going to marry. I'm content in singleness. I would say that I'm thriving. And that's not by my own doing, that's, through surrender to Jesus. But that came from me really getting real and honest and sinking into this heart realm and asking myself the tough questions and facing my pain, facing the beliefs that not my head knows, but that my heart really believes. And there's a difference between what we believe in our head and what we believe in our heart. And it's taking that 12-inch journey that brings so much transformation in our life when we know how to let love in there and surrender.
Wow. That's incredible. So you went through a lot and you went to a lot of counselors and therapists and different things, but ultimately it sounds like you took responsibility for your own heart journey and you jumped in and you found the tools in your toolbox and you learned the processes and the things that really could help bring freedom in your own heart. And that's what you want to give away to literally help change the world.
Yeah, I do. I think one of the things that I see so often with women, and I saw in my own life, is I could read all the books, I could go to all the therapists, I could do the deliverances. I knew what was wrong. And so many women know the problem, but they don't know how to bring the transformation, how to bring the supernatural power and love of Jesus into these places because there's a lack of awareness and we don't know how to navigate that realm. And so it's really the how is the game changer. How do we do that? And someone led me through that, and that's the thing that I want to give away because we talk about it all the time in church. We talk about it in some of these ministry settings, but it's very abstract for people. And so there are practical ways to drop in and find out what it is that you believe and why, and to get really honest with yourself and how to let love into those places and have real conversations with love himself, with perfect love. And to me, it's not a question of women wanting it. I think women want it. I was willing to take personal responsibility. I took a lot of it for many, many, many years, and I spent a lot of money and went through a lot of prayer. So I don't think it's a lack of desire or the personal responsibility. It really is the how. How do you engage there?
Wow, that's so amazing. And I love that. There's that principle in scripture that when you conquer something or when you have a
Mhm.
struggle, that it allows you to be able to free others. The testimony of Jesus is
Yeah.
the word of prophecy. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I'm super excited about the Love and Dream series that we're going to do is like we get into the depths. Like we talk about some of the stuff that you went through in your journey, and it's just like there were things that I didn't know about you, and I've known you for a couple of years. We've had a lot of really heart to heart talks and, some interesting things that you've shared with me and I've shared with you, but I did not know the depth of your pain until we did Love and Dreams. But boy, the stuff that God has brought you out of and delivered you from is just amazing. It's just incredible.
Yeah, it's really beautiful, because there's such a contrast with pain. But, I think pain is one of those things that when we're able to learn how to commune with love and bring love inside of our pain and face it and not be afraid of it and not feel like it's going to take us out, that is so transformative in nature. And we can't spiritually bypass those things. We have to learn how to go and sit, and the way that Jesus wants to sit with us and bring us rest inside of our pain is key. And it's a very practical tool that I'm not seeing applied as it relates to the matters of the heart that really affect every area of our life. The word says all issues of life flow from the heart. That's not one issue. That's not some. That means every issue you have is an issue of the heart. It's a matter of the heart. And so pain is unnatural to the heart. It's not something we're meant to carry or to live with. It's meant to be healed and loved and seen with compassion. Jesus only moved with compassion, but most people don't know how to face their pain in a way that really confronts it and sits with it in an honest way. And so that's one of the tools that I love to see women put in their tool belt and feel empowered with, because pain is inevitable in life. We're going to live, we're going to face pain, circumstances are going to happen, but how you navigate through it and your beliefs around it are the game changer.
Wow, that's awesome. That's incredible. I'm so excited to be working with you, and I want to just show people what we have coming up on Valentine's Day. We're going to
Yes.
have a special called Love and Dreams, and again, it's going to be Christina and I. I'll be interpreting dreams, and she interprets dreams too. Like she can hear the voice of the Lord, and God guides her, and the Spirit leads her. Um, and even as we unpack a dream, she can say, "Ooh, God is highlighting this. When did you first believe that? Or what's the root cause of that? Or how did that come in?" And she asks these very deep and compelling questions like, what is love saying? Or how does God show up for you in this place of pain or trauma? And it's fascinating the work that you do, because I think it really, I mean, not to be a cliche, but it really gets to the heart of the matter. I mean, you go right in to the root, to the first time that somebody believed a lie, and you reach in there and you pull that out and you bring freedom in such a powerful way.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I've learned a lot in my own life facing my own pain, what works and what doesn't work. And I think one of the most beautiful things to witness is that through that experience, people really do discover perfect love. They've
Mm.
known him, Jesus, in their mind for a long time. But when you bring him into these really vulnerable, sacred places of who you are, the truest parts of you, and he not only loves you and you feel that compassion come in and you match him in that oneness and you mirror that same thing to yourself, you can't help but fall more in love with him and feel
Yeah.
more dependent on him and more secure in him. And that's the thing that people don't realize through this work is it really births laid down lovers of Jesus, that and it's so real and authentic. I see, unfortunately, so many people who talk about him, and I just know I can feel it. I can feel that so much of that is head knowledge and it's somewhat superficial. They're great ideas, but until you commune with him in your heart and you bring him into these places, it just naturally flows out of you. You know, it says rivers of life flow from the heart, and rivers of living water flow from the heart. And it's like this thing just unlocks, the floodgates open in your heart. I remember being so intrigued by people who loved Jesus. I loved him. I had a whole history with him, but there was a dimension and a depth of passion that I saw some people have for Jesus that I could not connect with and I didn't resonate with. I was hungry for it. I wanted it and I strived really hard for it. But when I started to do this work, it was like I met the real man himself. And it naturally came out of me. And I'm seeing women do the same thing where they've had these blocks or they've avoided asking him certain questions because we project so much of our own experiences from the past, whether that be our dad or our mom, onto the face of our creator. And we unconsciously do that. We don't even realize that we're doing that. But when you strip all that away and you visit with him and you commune with him in some of these real authentic places, words almost don't even do it justice what you feel. And I feel like this is part of the preparation of the bride, of a bride preparing herself to be equally yoked in love to her bridegroom. I feel like this is so much of what he's doing in the body right now, not just through Unlocked and with women, but he's doing across the world. This is just one aspect of it, but it's just amazing to watch. And I'm so grateful that I found that in my own life. I wanted it for so long, but I feel like the most blessed woman.
That's amazing. You mentioned your story. Tell
Yeah.
us your story. When did starting as when you were a kid, and of course you were a star athlete, so you got a lot to talk about. Tell us just kind of the whole progression. What was your life like growing up, and then what was it like as in college, and then beyond, and what are some of the things that you went through?
Gosh, that's a really big question. It's a great question, but you went there and we're going big. We're going to go deep and
Oh,
long
big.
and all the way back into the history. So yes, you pointed out a few things. I was fortunate. I was blessed with two amazing parents who not just said that they love me, but showed that they love me in many, many different ways. And, you know, my childhood, I would say if I could sum it up in a few words, while it was blessed, I was the kid who loved to perform for love. I was the perfectionist. I was the people pleaser. I loved to find love and connection through those means. That's how I learned to do it. And so I excelled in a lot of different areas. One of those being sports. I love dance, but I really took the path of sports, of playing softball. And that was one of the first moments, and looking back, where I can really see that people pleaser come out of me, of wanting to please my mom to choose the sport that she loved. So I laid down dance. I had to make a choice between dance and softball. And I laid my passion down to be people pleaser Christina. And I chose dance, or chose softball, went down that path. I ended up getting a full scholarship. And that was amazing. I learned a lot as an athlete, but if I could sum up my whole childhood, it really is a girl who was terrified inside. I thought anxiety was normal. I wasn't really connected to God relationally. I knew of him, but I was very much in the mode of performing for love and feeling like I had to be perfect, that I wasn't worth it. And I wouldn't have consciously said those things. Those were all those things deep in my heart that I learned as a little girl, because no parent is perfect. Every parent loves us. And I actually think that makes love more confusing. I find with my clients, it's way more confusing when you've had a great childhood and you can't point out a lot of things. You
Mm.
wonder why it feels so confusing, and you have the beliefs that you do, that contrast each other. It almost feels like an oxymoron in there. And so that was much of my childhood. I went on into college. I got a full ride scholarship to play at Long Beach State. Go Niners. That was really fun. And I had a younger brother, and we were going through some things with my younger brother at the time. And my mom decided that we should go to church. And so off to church we went, and I started to experience God and learn about God. I didn't have a moral compass, so I was engaged in activities, that the typical young girl who doesn't have the moral compass was involved with. Was
Well, that's
dating
kind
a
of vague.
boy. Huh?
That's kind of vague. I think we want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. You got to
Okay,
tell
yes.
what you were doing.
Yeah, so my only moral compass at the time is you get married and then you have babies.
Mhm.
So just don't have babies before.
Mm.
So that was my moral grid. And I was dating someone in college at the time. I actually was engaged. But I was also starting to go to church, and God was beginning to speak to my heart and plant these little seeds of who I am and what's available in Him. And I realized, you know what? Like, this isn't right for me. This marriage is not right. And so I felt for the first time like I'm going to just go all in on God and let's do this journey. We're on an adventure together. I broke off my engagement,
Oh,
and yeah, that was big for me, but it felt liberating for the first time. I felt just liberated with God. And a couple months later I found out that I was pregnant, and I hadn't been with anyone else. I was living at home at the time. I had graduated college, and there was so much shame and hiddenness because I didn't know how to communicate that. That perfectionist and performer in me just wanted to hide. I knew that I had messed up. And so I just wanted to make it right, make all my problems go away. Let's make it right. So we talked about potentially getting married, and that plan quickly changed. And when that changed, I spiraled, and all of my triggers hit, and all of my codependency came out. I became the woman who was just desperate, desperate to get this man back. I think I probably called him 50 times in one night. I'm not crying. This is my eyelash, and that's okay. um, uh, so yeah, I remember just being in this frenzy, and these things were coming out of me that I felt somewhat powerless to. I didn't know how to regulate my emotions. I didn't know how to bring love into that space. I was powerless in the moment. And so, long story short, um, we brought all this to the attention of my parents through my pastor's recommendation. I ended up going to them, and I ended up having an abortion. And it was in that moment that, oh, wow, just the emotional turmoil that I hit
mm,
afterwards was devastating. What it does to a woman to kill her own baby was one thing. I know emotionally there were things that you can't even comprehend, you can't explain. But the thing that I saw in me that I was most ashamed of is that I was more sad and grieved by the fact that I could never go back to this man. And that's for the first time when I really started to do my work that I saw so much codependency in me, and this need to be with someone, to feel worthy, to feel validated, and the pain of feeling like I couldn't have it and I could never go back. And so I ended up spiraling into depression. I didn't know how to communicate my emotions. That's another area that's made me so passionate about this, is because I had no idea how to communicate what the heck was going on inside of me. Even if
mm,
somebody asked, people said they were praying for me, but I was so disconnected from this real true place of my heart. I felt overwhelming viscerally, but the language for it was lost. It wasn't there. I didn't know how to grab it. And what ended up happening is, as a cry for help, I didn't want to die. I tried to hang myself in my parents' garage. And
wow.
that's another area I would say of, gosh, just passion that so much of Unlocked is birthed from. Because as it relates to suicide, I know that there are so many people who have so much pain and who are hiding it and don't know how to communicate it. And I think a lot of times people don't actually want to die, they just want out of their pain, and they
Mm,
don't know how. They don't know how to bring love into that. They don't know how to have those conversations with Jesus. And so I ended up getting 5150. For the viewers who don't know what that is, that's like you're basically admitted into a psych ward for 72 hours.
wow.
And in that moment, when they were doing the, I guess, a review, right? They're going through a review, asking me questions. and telling me that I'm going to be staying in the hospital against my will, I completely manifested and I lost it. And I had three men rush into that hospital room and pin me down. And in that moment, and John, we've talked about this because there was a dream connected to this, is what happened in the moment, why I need to cry out for Jesus. But in this moment, I knew that they were probably going to put me in there, medicate me. I was going to be a zombie. And it was like my life was over. It was like that was it. I just had this eternal knowing of the light inside of me, my spirit, like it just was going to be quenched. And so I screamed out a blood curdling, only Jesus can save me, three times, the top of my lungs that just came out of me. And
Mm.
he delivered me of all of my suicidal thoughts. I didn't want to die anymore, but I still had anxiety. And there is something relationally that I know that Jesus wanted to walk out with me, because had he just delivered me of everything, I wouldn't have known how to relationally connect to him and things that were so important to my walk with him that I can now see that I couldn't see then. And so um, that really just opened up the floodgates for me. I started ministering to people in the psych ward. I mean, that's a whole story of itself.
Wow.
But man, was I on fire from God from that point on. And I just thought, all my problems are over, right? Like I found God, he's
Wow.
real, I delivered, I don't want to die. And I just shoved all of my pain. I shoved all of my beliefs, my emotions, and I just spiritually bypassed it all. And I said, I'm fine. I love God. And that was the people pleaser in me, right? The perfectionist now that found herself under the Christian hat, but nonetheless was not authentic and real.
Mm.
And to be
Wow.
honest, I didn't even realize that I was doing that. It took so much work to even understand that those were the motives of my heart. And the motives of the heart are everything. So,
So, I mean, wow. Talk about a journey. I mean, we know that, people have trauma, they go through abuse, or they have this or that, or ex-husbands or things. But man, from breaking off an engagement to having an abortion to attempting suicide to ending up in a psych ward, like talk about a dark night of the soul. Holy cow.
it was,
That was all in a matter of months too, that all that happened, right?
yeah, yeah, it was. It was a wild ride. And God did so much during that time. It was a beautiful time, and it also was a really painful time. At the same time, I feel like he meets us in the fire. Like our greatest
Mm.
encounters with love are inside the fire, which is why I love to go and face pain, because it's, inside that fire. Oh, we encounter these places that we can't encounter inside of pleasure. And we learn about him and things of his nature and things about us inside pain that we can't learn inside pleasure. So yeah, it was intense. It definitely was a pillar in my life. And again, kind of became a foundation to me really understanding and having so much compassion for people who are battling or struggling with those same things and feel stuck.
Wow. That's an athlete and a mom of several athletes. One of the things I know about Christina is she loves to work out. Like
Yeah.
it can be Sunday night at 10 o'clock. If she hasn't gotten it in, she'll be there flexing, and she'll take a picture and put it on Instagram like nobody else in the gym. And she's in there getting it done. And the amount of weight that this lady can push, I'm telling you, she is fierce. And I love that core value that you have, like run towards the fire, like
Mhm.
press into the pain and work through it.
Yeah. It's a huge core value of mine. And not being able to do that was the thing that led to so much destruction in my life and led to so much unnecessary pain, because I found that I was avoiding pain. I was avoiding my real authentic voice. I was avoiding pain. And for me, that looked like getting disconnected from love and disconnected from people and from God. And, when we learn to let Jesus into those places inside of chaos, and we can find rest inside of pain, we become unstoppable because there isn't anything that we can't face. And so it was interesting in the journey. I missed a big chunk, but we don't need to go over it. But God had done so much in my life during this time of getting me emotionally healthy and connected to love, and really feeling like he and I were in the driver's seat of my heart, and I was leading my emotions with him. And I could go into those places of my heart and not be afraid. And there was one day where, well, I had gone on a 6-month dating fast. I had ended this one relationship after my divorce and dealt with all my codependency. I mean, I just went all in. It was a wild ride. Faced all my pain. I sat with it, all the discomfort, everything that was uncomfortable that I was avoiding, conversations with God that I didn't realize that I was avoiding. I had, and I feel like there was a day where I felt like Wonder Woman on the inside. I felt like I was unstoppable, so strong. And the Lord spoke to me and he said, I want what I've built on the inside of you to reflect on the outside. And I immediately got this image of me almost like a bodybuilder, really strong. And that began that physical journey for me into fitness that you're speaking of, because it was motivated by love. It wasn't motivated by anything else but the Lord. And so he took me from that inner transformation to an outer transformation, and has taught me so much through that about, again, this concept of leaning into discomfort and leaning into pain, and not avoiding it, not bypassing those things, and realizing that so much growth happens when we choose into those things willingly and feel powerful inside of it.
That's amazing. I love that. I feel like if people understood that, and like, how do you
Mhm.
impart that core value of pressing into pain, particularly for people that feel like they've been traumatized or that feel stuck, or on a physical side, are feel overweight and lethargic, and they feel like, oh my gosh, I could never lose the 50 pounds or 100 pounds or whatever it is that they have to lose. Like, pressing into that pain can be a very, very frustrating thing for a lot of people who don't have any idea even really where to begin.
Yeah. And unfortunately, whether you deal with it or not, it's affecting you. So the
Mm,
choice really becomes, you face it and you deal with it, and you get to actually live out all that you were created to and all that Jesus died for, or you can stay in that loop and those patterns, but you get to choose. And the only way to really get on the other side is to move through it, and you have to confront the things that you really believe at a heart level. And so much of this, is we have to deal with these matters of our own heart,
mm,
because they contradict our ability to connect and really grow in our love with the Lord. They
mm.
oppose who he is. He is truth. And when we're not aligned to truth in our heart, we're double minded. And so we have to come into alignment with that spirit, soul, body. And when we do, and we're walking with him in oneness with internal integrity in our belief system, I mean, there isn't anything that we can't do with him. So, you know, this concept of people not wanting to face their pain or doing the uncomfortable things, you get to choose your pain. They're both uncomfortable. Living the life that's unsatisfied and isn't to your fullest potential of all that God created you to be is painful.
Mm,
Staying in
true.
those same patterns is painful and uncomfortable. So you get to choose your pain.
Well, let's go back out just for a second. So you had a pretty normal childhood growing up.
Yeah.
You were a superstar in college. And then right
Yeah.
after that was when you were engaged and you went through that whole dark night of the soul. And
Yeah.
then, so what happened after you got out of the psych ward, and like what progressed to where you are now? You were married at one
Yes.
point. So
Yeah.
tell
And
us
so that,
about that whole situation.
yeah, so much of that was, again, Christina thinking, I've been delivered. I'm great now. I found God. I'm perfect. Nothing's wrong with me. And I'd seen a Christian counselor for, a little bit. She was wonderful. But, a lot of that is talk therapy. And while there's a place for that of discipleship and talking, that doesn't transform the soul. It says, be still and know that I am God. That is experiential. We have to know how to encounter him and experience him, not talk about him in our head or our thoughts. And so she was wonderful, but with where I was at, I was really good again at dismissing and shoving down and avoiding. And so I went forward. I was on fire for God, and but still just had all of these beliefs inside of me and this pain that had been undealt with. And at the core of it really is a feeling of worthlessness.
Hmm.
And a feeling of insecurity and not knowing who you are. I mean, they're all self concepts, they're identity core pieces of the heart, all of your I am statements. But I could tell you, I could say to you who God says that I was, but it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. Pardon me. As a man believeth in his heart, so he is. So it's not who God says you are, it's who you believe that you are.
Mm.
And and so from those beliefs that I carried, I ended up finding someone at church. We dated for 7 months, wonderful man, and we ended up getting married. Pardon me, I'm going to take a sip of water. Um, we were married,
Mm-hmm.
and I just went right into that performance mode and just avoid thinking anything and everything was going to make me happy. You have that thing when you've not found love inside in your heart and you don't have your beliefs reconciled to love and truth, that you're looking externally to meet all of those needs and to find your happiness. And so I tried to do that in finding a man and getting married and
Mm-hmm.
having kids and having the home and the car and the career. And it just began to surface where these things inside my heart began to come up that I was so ashamed of to talk about. And I didn't know how, I didn't have language for it. Um, and I had to face those things. I had to face that reality of things that I believed, who I was, my pain. And so through all of that, ended up walking through a divorce. And my journey still wasn't over there because I hadn't fully connected to my heart. Again, this was just, you're kind of making these decisions and trying to figure things out. I kind of began there, but it wasn't until I got into a relationship, somewhat of a long term relationship, about a year and a half, that I'd had a lot of healing. But I would say my core healing, where I connected to my heart and I got into these core places of my heart where I was like, I am done with the facade of looking like the perfect Christian woman. I am done with, feeling so disconnected in my relationships. And I feel like everyone's threshold for pain and that honest conversation is different, but I hit mine. And I experienced a lot of pain inside of somewhat of a long term relationship. And I could see these things inside of me that were so um, just desperate for love, desperate for connection, and not knowing how to do it or where to get it. But I knew that I needed to go all in on God and I needed to face these parts of me and sit with myself and sit with Him. And so that led into the 6 month dating fast, which turned into much longer than that, because I needed to find that contentment within. I needed to know the real Jesus. I needed to know real perfect love, where everything that I needed was within, with Him and with myself, where I was no longer going to be powerless to my circumstances or a victim to my circumstances, that regardless of what I faced, that I could find that contentment and the satisfaction in Him alone. And I showed up that way for a long time. It looked like I had it for a long time, but I really didn't embody it. I wasn't being honest with myself. So it was tough and it was painful, but it was so worth it to get to where I am now. Um,
So you came
and
out
I
of the
felt,
dark night of the soul feeling like you were healed and ready to go.
yeah,
And
it
then
very
was
much
it
so.
shortly after that that you got engaged and married, or was it like a several year period? Or
No, I would say that the dark night of the soul was still choosing into marriage and choosing out. That
oh,
there were still, yeah, parts of my soul. You know, there are different parts of our heart, right? There were parts of Christina that were very mature and knew the Lord and had a history with Him, and that were renewed and aligned to truth and love. But there were still a lot of parts, caverns of my heart that were not. And I think that's hard for a lot of people to understand, that you can have some beliefs that are renewed and others that are not. And you're still going to be operating from all of them. And so, yeah, the dark night of the soul for me was a long one again, because I was looking to all these different ministries and deliverances and things to get into the matters of my heart that weren't doing it. They weren't, I just wanted someone to come in and fix me like a project, just make it better, clean me up, put a bow on me and let me go off and be, like my
Right.
perfectionist performance self again. And it just doesn't work that way. We don't actually relationally experience and connect to Jesus that way.
Mm.
And so that it's when I was ready to let him into those places and realize that I had been avoiding him and someone could guide me and show me how.
Mm.
And a lot of it was seeing people who were already embodying that could be that testimony, that place of hope for me, where then I had two choices. Once you know it's possible, you can either choose to move forward and overcome it, or you get to be a victim and deny
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So, we all have those crossroads, but the minute someone crosses your path, like now, I hope that I get to be that inspiration for many women, that it is absolutely possible to fall so in love with Jesus that you can be content on your own. You can feel powerful. You can have standards. You can be an amazing mom. You can thrive in all areas of life and really be satisfied and let go of all of it and still be okay.
Mm. That's so good. That's so good. And so now, um, you recently, I remember when this happened, you recently got ordained, right?
Yes.
So now
Yeah.
you're an ordained minister. You're a single godly woman who's waiting on her husband. You have three wonderful cubs, and you're content where you're at, but you're still praying for and looking forward to the more.
Yes. And truly, John, that is the miracle. That's the thing that I thought,
Mm.
when I look back across all those years, I believed for God in so many different things, finances and, you name it, healings and miracles, whatever it was. But in the area of my heart where it came to contentment, that I could be alone, that I could be single, that I could truly be in love with Jesus, where it's authentic and real and it's not in my head. It flows out of the woman that I am. I actually didn't think that that was possible. And had to face, that was the first belief and lie that I had to face, is that no, it is possible. And that I'm embodying, I'm that woman today, that I get to show up and it's authentic.
Mm.
And so that's the things that I get to look at him and say, he did that. He did that in me through surrender. He did that through me by allowing him to come into these places of my heart and be a hero, be my lover, my protector, my defender. When I look at Psalm 23, I see it so differently. That was kind of my banner scripture for my time alone with him, where I would just lock up literally every day. I would drop my kids off at school and I'd come home on the weekends. I wouldn't do anything. And I found him as this man who is so unbelievably perfect in his love. And to find contentment there, to me, is the miracle in my life. So many people have miracles in all these different aspects of their life, but emotionally, as a woman, to say that I'm truly content and to that be real inside of singleness is mind blowing to me still. But he did it. We
Well,
did it,
especially
I guess.
coming,
Say.
yeah, you did it with him. But
Yeah.
especially coming from that place of, I heard you say codependency, of just really being one of those people that had to have somebody in your life to feel complete. And now to be that rock for your family, your extended family, for your mom and dad and your brother and your kids and so many others who are your clients now, who you're guiding through this process while you're holding down an important corporate style job, and you're doing so many things. You're very, very active, involved in your kids' lives. So I just think it's amazing the stuff that you do and the impact that you're having.
Thank you. I do want to say one thing that I think is really important. We can put any label, any fruit that we want. Mine was codependency.
Hmm.
But ultimately, everybody has needs. They're God given heart needs. And below codependency is a need for love and connection. And,
Hmm.
it could be a man having an affair on his wife. We've seen so many pastors fall. We see these things rampant inside the church where these things are hidden. And they're matters of the heart. And it really comes down to understanding that you have God given needs that were designed and given to you to lead you to your lover, Jesus. And we have to not only know what those needs are, but we need to know how to get those met through him and alone in him as our primary source. And so, as much as yes, we can put codependency, we're all human, and inside of our humanity, that God wired need for love and connection is there, and it doesn't go away. It's like food and water to the body. And so, they're not nice to haves, they're need to haves. And so, whether you're a man or a woman listening to this, it doesn't matter whether your issue is codependency or something else. It could be addiction, it could be lust. It doesn't matter. It really comes down to these needs of the heart and knowing how to get them met in a way that serves you and draws you in to your lover. That Psalm 23, where he gets to be provider, protector, defender, all of these things that he desires to be inside of our life, but we have to let him in.
Wow. So good. Well, there's one thing that fascinates me every time that we talk is I learn more of the depth of what you've been through and what you've come out of. And I'll tell you what, people, if you have a heart healing journey to go on, you want to trust somebody who's literally been to hell and back, somebody who's made it out of, anxiety, the psych ward, codependency, suicide, abortion, heartbreak, wretched heartbreak, a failed marriage or a divorce, and then the engagement that was called off. And man, one thing that I really love, because I know more of your journey than we're talking about tonight, but we really get to unpack a lot in the upcoming series, Love and Dreams. And I just really want you guys to join us for that. We're going to start on Valentine's Day again, and we're going to start with your questions. What are your dreams about love? We're going to spend 2 hours together that night, like we do for live dreams, but it's going to be Christina and I. And we'll interpret the dreams, but then she'll be able to say, I think the Holy Spirit's putting his finger on this, or what about this, or when was the first time you felt that way? And I'm telling you, take the risk. Not only come, bring a dream, hop on, and be vulnerable and share, because I've gotten freedom in my life because of Christina. And I'm telling you, the stuff that she's been through can lead you to freedom. But the other thing, too, is it's going to be a ton of fun, because we're going to talk about the real. Like when we go through our series, Love and Dreams, like she calls me out on a couple of things. She says, oh, wait a minute. You believe love is hard. And I'm like, gosh, I don't like that I believe that. But I mean, yeah, I think I do, and then she shares some dreams, and I'm able to unpack some of those dreams. And I'm like, well, you thought this was this, but really what God was saying was this over here. And both of us have a story. Mine's a little bit more of a morbid tale than hers was, but about thinking that maybe God was highlighting who our spouse would be in a dream. And we go there. Like I got stuck in that place. And she didn't get stuck, but she had a moment where she was like, oh my gosh, I missed it. I got to go back, and my ex, and we unpack it. We go through the dream. We talk about the situation that was happening, and we talk about the guidance that I was able to give her as a dream interpreter and the guidance that she's been able to give me. And one of the reasons why we decided to do Love and Dreams is because it was really birthed out of our incredible friendship and out of the trust that my heart has for her, knowing that she's a safe place to talk. She's been somebody that's been through a lot. She's somebody that I can go to and just be real and say, look, I'm frustrated in singlehood, or this is going on, or man, I thought this person was going to be different. And then, man, I felt like I got screwed over here. And she'll just, well, when did you feel that way, John? Well, I feel like the Holy Spirit is highlighting. What would love say to you? And she asked these powerful questions that like just drill down. But then it's fun, it's engaging, and it comes back to the place of pressing into pain and pressing into growth. And God has showed us that so many times in dreams, that he will reveal something. He will even cause a troubling dream to happen. Like, why am I dreaming about my ex that I broke up with 3 years ago? Well, probably because there's something there that God wants to put his finger on, and he wants you to get healed. Like, I think one of the most fascinating segments as I've been just reviewing and editing and getting this whole course together and working with Christina and our whole team on what everything looks like. It's going to be a really, really special thing. But one of the favorite conversations is the conversation that we have on nightmares, where you talk
Yes.
about that nightmare that you had in the midst of your dark night of the soul. Like you were at the lowest possible point, and you have this dream that would trigger anybody at any regular time, but you were at like literally holding on for survival, and God hits you with this dream. But then for you to tell the story and how Papa showed up for you and how you felt
Mhm.
protected and resilient and supernaturally able to guide and maneuver through that situation where somebody else was kind of playing dirty and you made it through. I love that story. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's still one of my favorites. And it's a core value that lay as the foundation with all of my clients as well too, that it says that we're seated in heavenly places, and it's love that is always confronting us. It's peace. It's truth that's always confronting us. And so whether that be our dream life or our emotional life, whatever that is, that he's in pursuit because he's jealous for every part of our heart. So I would say that's probably one of my favorite segments too. Absolutely, that dream was a highlight in my walk with him and my understanding just who he is as the perfect lover. Um, yeah, gosh, I feel like I get all giddy just thinking about it because he's just that good.
Yeah, and it's awesome and it's fun. But guys, I'm telling you, we go there. We unpack a rape
Yes.
dream and we talk about God being the source of that, which is mind blowing because when you first hear the dream, you're like, there's no way that God is confronting us with these things from a place of love, from a place of wanting to
Yes.
see us whole and healed. And he'll confront us and trouble us with something that doesn't fit the circuit center. But why would I be dreaming that? And I don't feel that way about this person. Or did God give me that dream? Why would he make me feel this way in a dream? And it bothers us enough to share it with somebody, and then it's that
Yeah.
moment that freedom happens. And so we talk about that. We talk about sex dreams, we talk about X dreams, we talk about all kinds of real stuff. We talk about this phenomenon that I've seen, and again, I share my story where I got stuck having multiple dreams for a period of years about the same person and thinking God has to be saying that this person is my wife, and shutting down all other options and being stuck in that place of, I just need to wait and I just need to, or when I felt like it was slipping away, I need to try harder. And there's something I need to do because if this is ordained by God, then blah, blah, blah. And ultimately at the end, like, well, we tell you what happened. Well, spoiler alert, I'm still single. So, but it's interesting because I think there's people, and Christina brings so much wisdom on the heart side of this, where we talk about there's so many people right now that are in that place where they feel
Mhm.
like God has said, this person is your husband or your wife, or you're so in love with, the Sunday school teacher or the drummer in the worship band. And it's just like, I know God wants me to be, and so we've shut out relational possibilities because we feel like we have to be, and Christina challenges me on this belief that we have to be faithful to someone who's not in a covenant relationship with us. We're in a one-sided covenant relationship where we're trying to be faithful in the off chance or in the event that they come around and they actually one day wake up and be like, oh, there you are. You've been there for 3 years and I never saw you. And now I do. And so how to process this stuff in our life that allows us to get unstuck, to be in a place where we can be searching for the person that God has for us, open to the opportunities, submitted to Him and His choice, but open to things that may not look like we thought they look. I mean, again, I thought one person, this is it, no other possibilities. And then when that didn't happen, that left me with disappointment and offense. And in fact, it left me with offense to the point that I wrote off dreams entirely because I felt like God spoke that revelation to me in a dream. And so it's the juxtaposition of Christina's journey, the heart healing, the nightmares and the dark night of the soul, what she's been through, the work that she's done, and that one place that I gave up on dreams altogether. So many people now know me as the dream guy or the mentor and spiritual intelligence and all these things. It's like unfathomable for a lot of people to believe that I literally threw all my dream journals in a box, put them in the back of the closet, and said, I'm done with this. I don't know why I ever believed in this. But, and we go back there and we unpack it. And Kristina helps navigate through that. And we provide hope and an immense amount of freedom for people that may be going through something like that or similar.
Yes. Well said. I feel like that was the perfect recap. And I think the thing that just excites me the most is the real talk. I'm so passionate about people just bringing honestly their real self forward so real love can meet them there.
You're so good at real talk too.
Thanks.
Know? And she's got a great singing voice. She busts out into a love song a
Okay.
couple of times in the middle of the
That
series.
is not true. That is not true. We're going to leave that off script on that one.
Oh, we are definitely going to keep that in the edit. That will be definitely in the final edit. I actually chime in. I'm not sure my tonal quality is as good as hers, but we have fun. We bust up laughing a couple of times. We get really serious and we're challenging each other a little bit. And so there's this back and forth, and it's just, it was so much fun filming it. I mean, I never had that much fun filming an extended series like that. It's not completed yet as far as the edit, but it looks like it's going to be like a course that's going to be like probably 10 episodes, 20 minutes to a half hour each, where they're going to be independent conversations about different aspects of love and dreams. But we're going to kick it off on Valentine's Day with your questions on love and dreams. So bring a dream, come and join us. It's going to be an absolute blast. We're going to have a lot of fun. And I don't know personally of a better way to spend Valentine's Day. Bring your spouse, bring your date, go out to dinner, and then grab a glass of wine or whatever you do, some chocolates, and sit in front of the computer and call us as a couple, call us as a single person, call us as a group of girls at your Valentine's Day gathering in your pajamas watching, whatever Lifetime or whatever it is. And we'll go around the room and talk about people's dreams, and it's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. And no question is off limits, even if it's a relational question or things, bring anything to the table. All is fair game.
She said it. We got to live by it. No question is off limits. That's going to be a fun one. I'm going to remember you said that. I'm going to be like, okay, this one's for you, Kristina. But she's not afraid to press into other people's pain. Somebody that's fearless to go into the dark part of their heart and their soul and really press in, isn't afraid to navigate through with somebody else. And so I'm that way too. As you guys know, I believe dreams come from God, and we've talked extensively about nightmares and things like that. And so we're not afraid to go there. Dreams that trouble you, dreams that scare the hell out of you, dreams that freak you out about somebody cheating or this or that, or what does it mean, and blah, blah, blah. We talk about the type and shadow. We talk about, what if I had a dream of somebody that's supposed to be like my spouse, but it's not really that person? Can God represent an ideal using a person that we already know? Absolutely, he can. And so why don't you come and join us for Valentine's Day? It's going to be an absolute blast. It's going to be so much fun. And we look forward to seeing you there. It's at the regular Live Dreams time frame, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central on Valentine's Day. And like I said, bring a love dream, bring a question, and bring a friend. We'll have so much fun. And thank you, Kristina, for being here with us tonight and for telling your story and sharing your heart. What an amazing, amazing friend that I have in her, and somebody that can help guide you through your healing journey if you so need that. So check out her stuff on social media. Heart Unlocked on Instagram, and www.heartunlocked.com. And again, don't forget Valentine's Day, and we will see you very, very soon.